Hey everyone, Credit Shifu here. Now we often show you examples of using large amounts of points to book amazing business class flights or 5-star hotels. But is it really realistic? Could the average person earn that many points to book those amazing travel experiences? So today we are going to ask the question, how many points could the average person or the average household earn in 1 year using the Chase Trifecta? The Chase Trifecta is normally made up of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Freedom, and the Freedom Unlimited. Sometimes one of the Freedom cards is substituted for one of the Inc. business cards, but in this video, since we're talking about personal expenditure, we'll just stick to the personal credit cards. The Sapphire Reserve earns 1 UR point per dollar on everything and 3 points on travel and dining. The Freedom earns 1 point on regular purchases per dollar and 5 points per dollar in rotating quarterly categories. Each category is limited to $1,500 per quarter. And the Freedom Unlimited earns 1.5 points on everything. So the idea is that the person in this example will always use the appropriate card to maximize bonus categories. If there's no bonus category, they'll use the Freedom Unlimited because that earns the most on general spending. As for the Freedom's rotating quarterly categories, we'll use the calendar from 2017, last year, since the calendar for this year, we don't know the third and fourth quarter categories yet. But what does an average household earn? Well, for this example, we'll use the mean average household income as published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics from the US Department of Labor. For 2016, it was $74,644. Now, this may sound a lot to some of you younger folks, but remember, this is household income, not individual income. And the type of average that the Department of Labor Statistics uses is the mean average, which skews it a little bit higher. We'll look at the median average of $59,000 per year later in the video. But the reason we're using the Department of Labor Statistics is because they break down the spending into categories. Now, first of all, the average American family spends over $18,000, about 32% of their income, on rent or mortgage payments and property taxes. Now, there are services like Plastic that let you pay your rent with a credit card, but they do charge a small percentage fee which normally cancels out the points that you would earn unless you are using that spending for a sign-up bonus. Now, I think this family is going to do enough spending to get all the sign-up bonuses anyway without having to pay their rent with a credit card. So for just ease and simplicity, we're going to say they pay their rent the old-fashioned way, by check. The next category we have is food, and this is split into food from grocery stores and food from restaurants. So let's look at food from grocery stores. The Freedom Calendar has two 5% categories that could be used for food in 2017. Grocery stores in quarter 2 and Walmart in quarter 4. So they max out these categories up to $1,500 each quarter, and then all the other food shopping they do on the Freedom Unlimited for a 1.5 points per dollar return. In this way, they earn 21,301 points from food shopping. Now for food from restaurants. There's also a Chase Freedom 5% category for restaurants in quarter 3. So let's say they eat out a lot in Q3 to maximize that spending, and they spend the full $1,500. They then cut back in the other quarters since they'll only be earning 3% back from the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So in total, they take home 18,147 points. Next, we have Apparel. They spend $1,800 over the year. I definitely spend nowhere near that much. Look, I'm always wearing the same t-shirt. Anyway, in quarter 4, there is a Freedom 5% category for department stores. But they've already maxed out Q4 on buying food from Walmart, so it all goes on the Freedom Unlimited, and they earn 2,700 points. Next is transportation, which gets a little bit complicated because technically it includes buying or leasing vehicles as well as gas and public transportation on top of that. I'm going to make a guess here at how much the average family spends on each thing. So I'm going to allocate $3,000 to public transport, which I believe would include flights, and the rest, just over $6,000, to expenses associated with owning your own car. So there's a gas and commuter transportation category in Freedom's quarter 1. So for private transportation, i.e. owning your own car, let's say they spend $100 a month on gas, so $300 for the quarter, which they put on the Freedom at 5%, and the rest of that $6,000 goes on the Unlimited. I've chosen the unlimited since I believe most of this spending is outside the CSR travel category, for example paying a lease or a loan on a car, etc. In public transportation they spend $3,000. Like with the other freedom categories, we all say they pay a bit more in Q1 to max it out. They already spent $300 on gas, so they put another $1,200 on there in Q1 to get that 5% cashback. So for the transport section, in private transport they earn 10,123 points, and in public transport they earn 11,400. We're going to have them put all their healthcare costs on the Freedom Unlimited, which ends up totaling out at 6,918 points. Then for the money they spend on entertainment, we're guessing some of it may fall into the dining category. You know, people end up spending about $1,000 a year on Starbucks alone, so I'm guessing there'd be some dining spending in here, since Chase is pretty broad on dining. So we're going to put about $1,000 in the CSR dining category. For various stuff like snacks that codes as dining, but it's not to be confused with the actual eating out in restaurants that we have above. Then the rest goes on the unlimited, things like movie tickets, etc. Then there's another category here, which I don't know what this is. Maybe drinking in bars, going to the club, I don't know, or it could be buying home appliances, or just some general spending or whatever. Anyway, since it isn't clear, we'll just put it all on the unlimited too for 5,899 points. And that brings us to a grand total of 82,757. Now that's a lot of points. But don't forget, if we add the sign-up bonuses of all three cards, which if you'd opened the cards in the year that we're talking about the spending for, you would get, you can add another 80,000 points on top of that. So that ends up being 162,757 points. If you want to know how many points someone with the median average annual income of 59,000 US dollars would earn, you just do 80% of the 82,000 points, which works out at 65,000. And then if they got all the sign-up bonuses, their grand total would be 145,000 points. So what could all these points get you? Well, if you transfer to British Airways, 100,000 points gets you New York to London return in business class. If you transfer to Iberia, it's just 68,000 for an off-peak business class return ticket from New York to Madrid. So you could take 2 people to go see the running of the bulls in Spain. Not your thing? Okay, maybe the Valencia Tomato Festival. If you transfer your points to Singapore Airlines Chris Flyer program, you can book this amazing first-class suite on the A380 from Singapore to Sydney for 150,000 points and $49 in fees. It's only one way, so you'll have to come back in coach. As for hotels, if you transfer to Hyatt, you could go to this all-inclusive Hyatt resort in Cancun, Mexico for 7 nights at just 25,000 points a night. So those are just a few ideas for booking flights with points. An amazing luxury experience for you and your family, maybe closer than you think. For a couple or a family with a couple of kids, I often recommend using points for hotels rather than flights to get more value out of them. You see, in a hotel, a couple or maybe a family with 2 kids can stay in a hotel room that costs the same amount of points than if one person was staying in it. But on a flight, it's 1 person, 1 seat, and each seat is charged individually. So for the average family of 4, say, to go from New York to Spain return in business class, it would take them about 3 years to save up enough points to do that on Iberia, and there may not even be award availability for 4 seats on the flight anyway. So points transferred to airlines are always easier to use as an individual traveler. That's just a little bit of a tip there. Hotel points, it's normally no problem bringing your entire family. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Do remember some of those spending categories a little bit ambiguous, so if you work this out yourself, you may do it slightly differently to the way I did it. You can kind of use this as a blueprint and then look at your own spending and adjust it to see how many you would earn. If you guys like this, I'm thinking about doing the same thing, but for the American Express membership rewards earning cards, so the Platinum, Gold card, the Everyday card, you know, that whole system. If you'd be interested in seeing a video about that, please leave a comment below. As always, please subscribe. We still have credit Shifu wallets on offer. I'm actually going away in a couple of weeks and there'll be a delay if you order them then. So if you want one, I suggest buy it within the next 2 weeks. Link to the store is in the description. As always, please subscribe and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.